parishioners and friends. Welcome to our Eucharistic celebration. Today we celebrate the 13th Sunday in Ordinary Time. Immediately following the Mass, there will be a chicken soup and during lunch served downstairs at a cost of $7. The Acadian singers will sing at 1 p.m. Please note that there will be a Mass tomorrow morning, Monday morning at 8:30 a.m. at St. Thomas. At this time, we ask that you please silence your cell phones. Our gathering hymn today is number 56 in the French songbook, Nous voulons Dieu.
Seigneur, en recevant ta grâce, nous deviennons des fils et filles de la lumière. Ne permets pas que l'erreur nous plonge dans la nuit, mais accorde-nous d'être toujours rayonnants de ta vérité. Par Jésus-Christ, ton Fils, notre Seigneur, qui vit règne avec toi dans l'unité du Saint-Esprit, pour les siècles des siècles. Amen.
A reading from the first book of Kings. The Lord said to Elijah, "You shall anoint Elisha, son of Shaphat of Abel-Maholah, as prophet to succeed you." Elijah set out and came upon Elisha, son of Shaphat, as he was plowing with 12 yoke of oxen. He was following the 12. Elijah went over to him and threw his cloak over him. Elisha left the oxen, ran after Elijah, and said, "Please, let me kiss my father and mother goodbye, and I will follow you." Elijah answered, "Go back. Have I done anything to you?" Elisha left him, and taking the yoke of oxen, slaughtered them. He used the plowing equipment for fuel to boil their flesh, and gave it to his people to eat. Then Elisha left and followed Elijah as his attendant. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.
King of the pour satisfaire votre égoïsme. Au contraire, mettez-vous par amour au service les uns des autres, car toute la loi atteint sa perfection dans un seul commandement. Et le voici. Tu aimeras ton prochain comme toi-même. Si vous vous mordez et vous dévorez les uns les autres, prenez garde. Vous allez vous détruire les uns les autres. Je vous le dis, vivez sous la conduite de l'Esprit de Dieu. Alors, vous n'obéirez pas aux tendances égoïstes de la chair. Car les tendances de la chair s'opposent à l'esprit et les tendances de l'esprit s'opposent à la chair. En effet, il y a là un affrontement qui vous empêche de faire ce que vous voudriez. Mais en vous laissant conduire par l'esprit, vous n'êtes plus sujet à la loi. Parole du Seigneur.
J'aimerais être capable de prêcher en français. Mais c'est une chose de jaser en français, c'est une autre affaire de parler de la théologie et de la spiritualité en français. Alors, en anglais. I can't help but think what an incredible journey these Acadian people made to this land. I cannot imagine what it must have been like to start literally from scratch. No land to farm, no forest already cut down, no homes, dependency upon the wisdom of the Native Americans and of the land. I cannot imagine in this day and age how we would have survived. I imagine it would have taken a perseverance unlike any other, a determination to be freed from oppression, deportation, and travel to an unknown space to make a home. It's certainly worth remembering. It's certainly worth honoring our ancestors who did this. Beyond all possibilities, they survived. They thrived. And they developed a unique culture along this great river. We have reason to be proud. We have reason to be proud of where we come from and what we as a culture and as a people of Notre Dame have contributed to this country. It is that work ethic. It is that sense of community. And most importantly, it was faith. Faith in God, that He would protect them as they came to this unknown land. And not only faith in God, but a devotion to the Blessed Virgin Mary. Stella Maris, the saint of which all sailors crossing the sea placed their trust in. The Blessed Virgin was their patron of the sea, their patron of the river. What an incredible testimony, and how important it is to continue to remember, and to celebrate, and to yearn for those great gifts of perseverance, of faith, and of courage and strength. We live in a unique corner of our country. We live in a unique way, and we have much to offer. As we yearn to sustain our language, to sustain our culture, to sustain who we are, that task is very important. For as this region of the country ages, as the young move away and don't return, inevitably we will see others, not of our culture, not of our language, yearning for what we have. All things come to pass unless we remember and we celebrate. In our gospel reading today, Jesus is at a turning point in Luke's gospel. We are in the 9th chapter of St. Luke. And in his gospel, beginning with the 9th chapter, Jesus leaves the area of Galilee, northern Israel, a place where he has been well received, a place where his message has taken root, a place where the people are convinced that this Jesus is the long-awaited Messiah. And so at this point in Luke's Gospel, he leaves Galilee and heads south. And his destination is Jerusalem. His destination is his destiny. His life, his death, and his resurrection is heading to Jerusalem. As he heads to Jerusalem, he must cross the central region of Israel, the region of Samaria. Without going into history, there is over 700 years of hostility between the Samaritans and the Judeans in the southern part of Israel. They despise each other. And even though the Samaritans have heard of this Jesus, of this Christianity, of which they are interested in, they will not welcome Jesus because he's headed to Jerusalem, to Judea. His apostles want to rain down fire upon the Samaritans. That ill will against them is very present. And yet, when we look at Luke's Gospel, Luke consistently shows that Jesus, who is attempting to reconcile the Samaritans and the Judeans, Jesus will not have this raining down of fire upon the Samaritans. He will not have this division of his people. He seeks reconciliation among them. What is interesting in the passage is Jesus' determination and fortitude to reach Jerusalem for his destiny. Nothing will stand in the way. Nothing. The real test is how many of these disciples from Galilee, how many of these apostles will follow him through the territories of Samaria and into the political hotbed of Jerusalem. How many will stay faithful? How many will be willing to take up the cross of Christ? How many will be there for him when he needs them most? No one. No one. Except his blessed Father and his beloved disciple who are there at the end. What fortitude, what determination, what sense of purpose Jesus had in his journey to Jerusalem. Death would not deter him from the message. Let us pray that we might be one of those faithful disciples, holding on to our faith in the ways that our ancestors did, holding on to that sense of fortitude and determination like our ancestors did, holding on to a culture and a geography which brought great good and great pleasure to our ancestors. We give thanks to Almighty God for the witnesses of faith, the witnesses of culture, the witnesses of a people determined to live a life in the image of Christ, in the image of the Blessed Virgin Mary. We pray for such fortitude, for certainly our individual journeys of life will always bring us those moments of doubt and fear, those moments of helplessness. Yet, in those moments, particularly, just as our ancestors did, we place our faith in a higher power. We give thanks to our ancestors, to the Native Americans, and to we who today continue the journey. May God bless this people, this culture, this language, this place, so that we can witness to those who come after us.
And for our Acadian ancestors, for whom the intention of this Mass is being offered, let us pray to the Lord.
Lord, hear our prayers. We ask this as we ask all things through Christ our Lord. Amen. ton Fils notre Seigneur, qui vit avec toi dans l'Église du Saint-Esprit pour les siècles des siècles. Amen. Le Seigneur soit avec vous. Et bon notre Père. Rends grâce au Seigneur notre Dieu. Vraiment et juste et bon de te rendre gloire. De t'offrir notre action de grâce toujours et en tout Dieu. À toi, Père très saint, Dieu éternel et puissant. Dans sa pitié pour notre misère, il a voulu naître d'une femme, la Vierge Marie. Par sa passion et sa croix, il nous a délivrés de la mort éternelle. Par sa résurrection d'entre les morts, il nous a donné la vie qui n'aura pas de fin. C'est pourquoi, avec les anges et tous les saints, nous proclamons la gloire à chantant d'une seule voix. Toi qui es vraiment saint, toi qui es la source de toute sainteté, Seigneur, je te prions. Sanctifie ces offrandes de repentance céleste ton esprit, qui deviennent pour nous le corps et le sang de Jésus le Christ, notre Seigneur. Au moment d'être livré et d'entrer dans sa passion, il prie le Père. Il rendit grâce, il le rompit, il le donna à ses disciples en disant, prenez et mangez-en tous. Ceci est mon corps. Livré pour vous. De même, à la fin du repas, il prit la coupe. De nouveau, il rendit grâce. Il le donna à ses disciples en disant, prenez et buvez-en tous. Car ceci est la coupe de mon sang. Le sang de l'alliance nouvelle et éternelle, qui sera versé pour vous et pour la multitude de la rémission des péchés. Ouvrez cela à mémoire de moi. Il est grand le mystère de la foi. Nous t'offrons, Seigneur, le pain de la vie et la coupe du salut. Et nous te rendons grâce, car tu nous as choisis pour servir en ta présence. Humblement, nous te demandons, quand il y a part au corps et au sang du Christ, nous soyons rassemblés par l'Esprit Saint en un seul corps. Souviens-toi, Seigneur, de l'Église répandue à travers le monde. Fais la gravité de la Trinité avec le pape François, notre évêque Robert et tous ceux qui ont charge de ton peuple. Souviens-toi aussi de nos frères et sœurs qui se sont endormis dans l'espérance de la résurrection. Et de tous les hommes et les femmes qui ont quitté cette vie reçoivent de la lumière auprès de toi. Sur nous tous, enfin, nous implorons la bonté, avec la Vierge Marie, la malheureuse Mère de Dieu, avec Saint Joseph, son époux, avec les apôtres, les saints de tous les temps qui ont vécu dans nos amitiés, nous implorons la vie éternelle et que nous chantons de louange par Jésus-Christ, ton Fils, qui est en lui, avec lui et en lui. À toi, Dieu, Père Tout-Puissant, ta l'unité du Saint et de l'Esprit, toute honneur et toute gloire, pour les siècles des siècles. réveillés à toi par une charité qui ne passera jamais. Nous voterons les fruits qui demeurent. Par Jésus-Christ, notre Seigneur, et bien avec toi la l'unité du Saint-Esprit pour les siècles des siècles. Amen. Special thank you to the committee who has organized our Acadian Day celebration. Thank you to the families who are the representatives of the families who come today. We give our special appreciation to the choir who make special arrangements for French music as well. Remember, there are celebrations going on downstairs in the church hall, chicken stew and foods, as well as the chanteurs who are coming later on today. You're certainly welcome to join the festivities at any point today. One final word. Today is the last day that the Knights of Columbus will be using their regalia, their capes and their little hats. They are disappearing according to the law of the Knights of Columbus. So we thank them for their faithfulness as well. Le Seigneur soit avec vous. Que Dieu Tout-Puissant vous bénisse. Au nom du Père, du Fils et du Saint-Esprit. Allez, la paix du Christ. Bonne journée.
Our sessional song will be found in your French music services tonight.
content de sitter med vår skavenzon. On va commencer tranquillement. Là. If you're eating, you're not finished, enjoy your meal. Just keep trucking as you're doing now, and we're just gonna mix in with you. I'm going to start off by saying we kind of have to apologize the fact that we're not down by the river. But I think if you go take a walk down the river, you'll appreciate the fact that you're here. Because we can't send an ambulance down there to pick you up. And so we're safer here. The grounds are wet and slippery. And I start out with saying, I hope you enjoyed or are still enjoying your meal and the fellowship of family and friends. The Acadians are blessed with two defining characteristics: the love of God and the love of family. And out of these two flow freely the love of life. The proof is in the pudding. Actually, it's in the stew today. Look around, enjoy, and everyone is enjoying themselves and smiling. And that's what we're all about. I introduce you now to our three speakers. The first speaker will be Gary Picard, Madawaska Town Manager. They're going to be speaking for about half hour each. So I hope you all brought a comfortable seat and a pillow. No, I'm just kidding. We're trying to limit it to 5 minutes. We all know we're all going to talk for 10, but we're going to try to limit it down. The next speaker is the Maliseet Elder Alan Tremblay from the Tobique First Nation. And the next speaker will be Charles Kenterio, who actually needs no introduction. Sorry, Ken. Mr. Picard.
Good afternoon. So on behalf of the town of Madawaska, we want to thank you for taking part in this ceremony. It's an important thing that happens, the Acadian Mass and then the reenactment of the Acadian landing. I was asked to come here today. This is my first time that I stand here before you, so I'm a little humbled or shy, but I think first of all, none of this can happen without volunteers and the Acadian Festival Committee and the group that works to put this all together, this Acadian Mass. It takes volunteers to make something like this happen, and volunteers are growing more and more scarce by the year. So I want to recognize those people, those groups for doing so. Without them, none of this would be impossible. I'm not very astute in Acadian history, so what I'm going to do is refer to those in the room that are experts. I'd like to, again, thank everybody here for attending. The town of Madawaska appreciates those who take part in this and make this event happen every year. Thank you.
Great. Hello. Good afternoon. How's everybody? Thank you. I'm going to be speaking partially in my language and the rest in English, so I'll be translating whatever I say in my language. So before we get started, whenever we have gatherings in New Brunswick, we always identify that the territory that we're in is unceded, unsurrendered, Wolastoqey territory, Maliseet territory. We've never given up this land in treaties or anything. All we signed were friendship treaties. So we never gave up any land at any time. I just want to let you know on that. Still get a little nervous. I used to be a high school teacher. I still get a little nervous talking to people. The Majnolita Huz, Ngan Balida Hams, Eligis the Westlawn, Iraqi, Worcestaway, Ludwig, and Bebgiskok. I am very happy and proud to be able to talk to you in my Malseet language today. Yopaj Massey, I'll tell you why. If I was Israel, my name is Dr. Magellan, Luakanem, Ladroakanem, but you would get him so here, it's not a Juan Zemha. Because when I was young, we were not allowed to speak our language when we started school, or else we got strapped, and I got strapped for using my language. They tried to drive it out of us. I still remember the day I got strapped for speaking my language, but I was unlucky. I kept my language with the help of my grandparents and my parents. When you first arrived on our shores about 400 years ago in eastern Canada, that's prior to the Acadians landing here, the first people you met were probably the Wolastoqey people, which is the Malseet people. We occupied, and we still occupy, parts of now Quebec, New Brunswick, and Maine. Back then, there were no borders. Our territory starts in Quebec along the south shore of the St. Lawrence to the Bay of Fundy, St. John. There are 6 Wolastoqey communities in New Brunswick. Kapsko-Sisek is what we call Madawaska First Nation across the bridge. That means Little Falls in our language. Negurtkuk is Tobic, where I come from. Zemedunk, Woodstock, First Nation. Village, Kingsclear, outside of Fredericton, that means village. Zidansisk, St. Mary's First Nation, right in Fredericton. And Wellamuktuk, or Mukto. Those are the 6 Wolastoqey or Malseet territories in New Brunswick. There are also Wolastoqey communities in Kakuna, Quebec, near Rivière-du-Loup, and Holton Band of Malseets in Holton, Maine. So all, in total, there's 8 Wolastoqey or Malseet territories. And of all the territories, the one I come from, Tobic, we have the biggest population. It's about a little over 2,500. When you arrived, you were unfamiliar with our territory and how to survive the harsh winters. We taught you how to survive. Many of your men who were here as explorers and working in the fur trade, they married our women as they traveled through our territory, hunting, fishing, and trapping. As for myself, I have both French and Wolastoqey blood, as you can tell by my last name, Tremblay. That's not very First Nation, is it? In fact, my mother's grandmother's last name was Laporte, and my grandfather's mother's maiden name was Petit. So there's a lot of French in me, plus the Tremblay side. And my great-grandfather on my father's side, whose name was Joseph Tremblay, came from Quebec. My ancestors and your ancestors, I'm sure, had contact and communication with each other as you traveled up the Wolastoq River to come up to Madawaska here. Wolastoq, in our language, that's the name of our tribe. That's also what we call the St. John River, which means the beautiful, bountiful river, Wolastoq. And we're trying to get the provincial government to change the name to its original name. And the name Madawaska actually comes from our language as well. It's our word for porcupine, Madawas. This is because the tall grass on the Madawaska River, which flows into the Wolastoq, resembles a porcupine after its tall grass has been pushed down from the water flowing. And that's where we got the name. Our language is very descriptive. And Edmonton in our language is Kapsko-Sisek, which means little falls, as I mentioned before. So that's just a brief background about our culture. I'm a former high school teacher, and I have to tell you this story about when I was going to school when they were strapping us for speaking our language. and we started school in the public school in grade 8. And we thought it would be better there. It was just as bad. And the funny part was, here's the ironic part of this story. The school where I got strapped for speaking my language hired me years later to teach the language. Vicious circle, I'm telling you. But anyway, so my final thought is this. Xeldoltine, Chidvidantoltine, Gamawakadine, Vajili to a Birmigo or Skit Commit, Chiwazizak, Nagayo Mesk, Namigwasoltiti. In English, that means let's love one another, respect each other, and work together to build a better world for the children and those yet to be born. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Bonjour tout le monde. Good day, everyone. Gerald says I don't need an introduction, but I will just give you a short synopsis of me. Je suis Acadien, comme on dit, au coton. Ma mère c'est un cire, puis mon père c'est un Ontario. Puis, so I'll go back to the English. My core is Acadian. My mother was a seer, and my father was a Ontario. And the irony of all that, to be frank with you, is growing up, I didn't speak English until I was about 6 years of age. I went to school down the road from where I was raised. And I really did not know, and I confess this to you, that I was an Acadian, that we had Acadian blood. They never spoke of it. My grandfather, my grandmother, my mother, or my father. How I realized that this was the situation is I'm walking on the street one day and I meet Mrs. Chassé. Géraldine Chassé, il reste ici, dans le coin. Oui. Elle dit en français, elle dit Monsieur Thériault. Oui, allô, allô. Mais que vous voulez célébrer une vraie famille acadienne, vous me le direz. I said, so I acted like I knew what was going on, you know. I said, oh, okay, okay. So I kept on. But I didn't leave it there, mind you. I went a little further. I dug into what was happening about the family. Ontario is one of the families, the founding families of Grand Pré L'Acadie. Melanson, Ontario. And we are Acadian throughout. So that's me, Ontario. And there's one thing, I'm very proud to be an Acadian. I never take a back seat. I'm as good as anyone else. French Acadian. De la Vallée Saint-Jean. Just a short, another one is I served in the legislature. And I was from the St. John Valley. And I'm from Madawaska. I'm from all the different communities in the town, in the St. John Valley. I'm proud of all of them. And like I said, I never, ever would take a back seat to anyone on that issue. I think we're a proud group and a very good group. The reason why I'm here today is to recognize and thank those Acadian families who came here seeking a place to find peace a place to practice their religion and raise their families. C'est ça notre héritage. This is our heritage, and I'll do some. Oh, excuse me. I'll do some of it in French and in English. This is our heritage, a small group of Acadians who had somehow escaped the forced deportation of some of their families, friends and neighbors, who were living in l'Acadie, now known as Nova Scotia. They came risking their lives for peace. Can you imagine leaving and coming, and when you get to Grand Falls, that's one of the reasons, I believe, why they came here into the St. John Valley, because they said, those SOBs can't come up through that, without us knowing about it. So basically, that was one, because they were being moved around, pushed around, and if there's anything that the Acadian person or French person will not stand for, is to get pushed around. I think it comes from our history. So when those families arrived here, they were met and greeted by the Maliseet Indians, who had been here for thousands of years. If not for them, our ancestors may not have survived. The Maliseets extended a hand and helped them through that first winter. It was a grand humanitarian gesture that we should never forget. We should never forget that. The people that were here before us greeted us and took care of us. The history on that was that in that group of Maliseets that were here, there were 60 families, and they had something like 200 warriors. This is a fact because I read it in one of the books. And basically, they were ready for a fight. Anybody who got into their way, they were ready for a fight. But it went to show that somebody was on our side. And he was up there, I believe, helping our families come through. So I myself am here to say merci à nos amis, les Maliseets, for being so generous and welcoming. Merci, Monsieur Tremblay, for being here. I also want to give out the names of the families that came on that first trip. Cyr, Deg, Ayotte, Thibodeau, Sans-Passon, Portier, Dupéré, Fournier, Mercure. 5 years later, another group came with some of the different names. Nous avons le droit d'être fiers de notre chez nous et puis d'être fiers de nos familles. We have a right to be proud of our communities in the valley and our ancestors. And I just want to say thank you to all of you for being here and being such a good group. Merci beaucoup.
I've been asked to tell you that there's some chicken stew and some toys available. Puis ils m'ont dit comment c'était, je ne m'en rappelle pas. Comment c'était, Jane? Two stews with toys for $4. So put in your reservations right now because they're all going very fast. Look at that. I'd be remiss if I forgot to do what I forgot to do a while ago. But we have presented to Mr. Tremblay, the representative from the Maliseets First Nation, a gift of items which are home items. It's a symbol of our appreciation for him being here and for the Maliseets in general. Okay, I told everybody that I'm a very quiet person until somebody gives me a mic, and then they're all in trouble. So I'm going to try to cut this as short as I can. See, Ken is going to do that already.
I would be remiss to not make sure that everybody knows that Gerald Soucy is from Grancy, and Gerald Soucy is one of the people responsible for this. Merci beaucoup, Gerald.
I'm sorry, Ken. Actually, I'm not.
You're not?
I'm not sorry. I'm going to start off by asking you to close your eyes for a second. Just a second. Okay? And think back of the last time you stood on the flats by the river. The last time you did that. How cool is it that you might be standing in a very spot that some of your ancestors might have stood? Just think about that for a second. Okay? Now this is going to sound like a history lesson, and it is. There's a reason why. 1785, now this is all something I didn't make this up, I read this somewhere. 1785, 12 of the first 16 families settled in what we call St. David today. The other 4 families settled in St. Auzin, on the north side of the St. John River. The river we know as the St. John River was named by Samuel de Champlain on St. John the Baptist's Day in 1604. 1604, a few years ago, huh? Today, our calendar celebrates St. John the Baptist's Day on June 24th. Do you realize that that was 415 years ago? 415 years ago. We can't even think that big a number as far as years. The Webster-Ashburton Treaty, signed on August 9, 1842, designated the St. John River as Maine's northern border. On April 1st, 1919, now we all know what April 1st is, huh? April Fool's Day. The Maine legislature passed an English-only bill that targeted the Acadians of Aroostook County. I will not speak French in school. You all remember that? How well we remember that. This law was in effect until 1960. That's a lot of years for us to be under the push and the shove of the English-speaking people. Now, Don Levesque may remind us again in song about this very issue. Did you know that the town of Madawaska was incorporated twice? Twice. First on March 15, 1831, and again on February 24th, 1869. Oops, somebody screwed up somewhere. Why do we celebrate today the reenactment of an event that happened in 1785, 234 years ago? Why do we do that today? And if you listened to Father James this morning, Father Jim, he told you that. And it's been said here a few times already today. So we need not say that anymore, except that we can celebrate it, and we should. This is why we're doing this. We can and we should. Our own history is as important and significant as anyone else's. But in school, we were taught everybody else's history. Okay? Now, as Acadians, and I don't mean to insult the people from Texas, but I'm going to say this anyways. To an Acadian, how significant is the date the Alamo fell? In English, who the hell cares? Sorry. Okay. Our challenge today, then, is to choose a question. Come up with an idea. Things that you don't know about the Acadians. Okay? And we all got that. We're all questioning people. Anything that may be relevant to your Acadian history, and try to find the answer to that. Okay? We'd surprise each other if we ask each other these questions. Because some will remember this, some will remember that, some will say this, some will say that. Okay? There's resources all around you to get this information. Okay? You don't have to make it up or dream it up. Okay? Our own history is as important as anybody else's. We got to remember that. So what we got to do is talk to a family, friends, your kids maybe, because we hear this every once in a while. When we're gone, life is going to stop. Life is not going to stop. Acadian, your background of Acadians may stop. Won't necessarily completely stop, but it'll be changed. And sometimes change is good. But it's our responsibility. We're all saying, trop vieux, okay? Or jamais trop vieux. Okay? Because what you mention as a fact to somebody else today, to your kids especially, okay, even though you don't think they care. Ils m'écoutent pas anyways comment je parle. But that's a fact of life. Quand je suis à cet âge-là, je n'écoutais pas d'autres non plus. Fait que c'est pas rien de différent. Okay? But today is the day, because tomorrow it'll fly away. When each person who has a fact in their mind dies, goes away, takes that with him, or with her, okay, then it's gone. Okay? So, I guess the advice still remains, go out and try to learn something new today, tomorrow, the day after. Okay? Visit your local museums, the local historical societies, the libraries. Okay? There's answers there. And if you don't know where to find the answer, somebody's going to give you some help. Okay? If you learn something new, once a week, once a month, that's something you'll never forget. So, I guess that's if you get involved, somehow you will find out once and for all, it really does not hurt. Life goes on, but if you contribute, then that's the important thing. And with that, our history will never fade away. MacArthur went away, but we're not going away. I'm going to now have a litany of thank yous. I want to thank Father Jim for the Mass, and the Parish of St. David for the opportunity to use this building, the church. Thanks to the Acadian Festival Committee and the Madawaska Historical Society for supporting this project. Thanks for all who work in the shadows, doing all the very little important things, but they're all important. Thank you to the Acadian families for supporting this project. Thanks to the town of Madawaska for doing a lot of the heavy lifting. Thanks to our speakers. Thanks especially to our Maliseet representative, the Elder Alan Tremblay. There will never be enough time or words to express our appreciation for the kindness and support of the Maliseet people have given us through all these years. Thanks to all of you for your support. And thanks to our musicians, les chanteurs acadiens, who are going to seal the day for us. See you all next year with a bigger and better venue and better event. Thank you for coming.
Merci.
Merci beaucoup.
Quand le soleil déborde aux montagnes et que la nuit rencontre le jour, je suis seul avec mes rêves sur la montagne. Et la voix me rappelle le chou-chou. Écoute à ma porte les chansons du vent, me rappelle les souvenirs de toi. Dans le soleil des bons jours aux montagnes, je suis seul, je ne veux penser qu'à toi. Now when the sun says good day to the mountain and the night says hello to the dawn, I'm alone with my dreams on that hilltop. I can still hear your voice though you're gone. And I hear from my door the love song to the wind, and it brings back sweet memories of you. Dans le soleil dit bonjour aux montagnes, je suis seul, je ne veux penser qu'à toi. Je suis seul, je ne veux penser qu'à toi. Merci beaucoup. Thank you. I'll say merci beaucoup and then thank you in English. That's all I know. We are the Chanteurs Acadiens. We've been together for 30 years, even though I'm only 45. This is a song that Don wrote about speaking French.
À la petite école, on était unis pour parler le français qu'on avait appris. Les sœurs nous pognaient à parler français, puis nous autres à Grand-Île, fallait qu'on copiait. I will not speak French in school. I will not speak French
Roger's fooling around with his electronic devices. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Tell me what you got next.
Okay. Ami, pas-ton cendré, la page se remonte, la lune qui rayonne éclairera la nuit. Il faut qu'avant l'aurore, nous soyons de retour pour sonner encore avant qu'il soit grand jour. Pas-ton la mer est belle, embarquons-nous pêcheurs, qui dans notre nacelle, ramons avec orgueil. Aux mains ils sont les voiles, le ciel est plus beau, je vois briller l'étoile qui guide les matelots. J'ai né que ma mère qui ne possède rien. Elle est dans la misère, je suis son seul soutien. Ramon, bien vite, je l'aperçois là-bas, je la vois qui m'évite, en me dans les bras. Pas-ton la mer est belle, embarquons-nous pêcheurs, qui dans notre nacelle, ramons avec orgueil. Aux mains ils sont les voiles, le ciel est plus beau, je vois briller l'étoile qui guide les matelots. Évangéline, 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 tu chantes ici, ton nom, le nom, dans le wagon, sur la colline, l'écho est plein, et nous répond, Évangéline, Évangéline. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup. Là, vous chantez bien là-bas, là.
Quelqu'un chante.
L'automne d'arrivée, l'école est fermée, on est engagé par un fermier. Ramasser toutes ces patates, toutes ces simples patates. Ramasser le bout tout plié en deux, ramasser à quatre pattes. Ramasser toutes ces petites morceaux de patates. Les cotons, les golos, y'en a bien trop, j'ai garoche mon mulot. Y'en a toujours bien trop, les cotons, les golos, y'en a bien trop, j'ai garoche mon mulot. Y'en a toujours bien trop. Une tigre passe bien trop souvent, j'ai comme tiré en avance. Mais moi je ramasse à ma vitesse, assis droit sur mes fesses. J'ai plus de tickets, puis j'ai plus de corps, ma session est bien trop longue. Et si tigre peut donc briser, on va tous se reposer. Les cotons, les golos, y'en a bien trop, les garoches au mulot. Y'en venu ici pour mériter. Je suis pas ici pour le mettre riche. Moi, je prends le temps de le gratter puis manger ma sandwich. Les cantons, les gâteaux, y'en a ben trop. Les galoches au vélo, y'en a toujours ben trop. Les cantons, les gâteaux, y'en a ben trop. Les galoches au vélo, y'en a toujours ben trop. Ah, je suis fatigué, puis je suis tanné, puis je voudrais bien m'en aller. J'ai de la poussière dans les oreilles, de la poussière dans les oreilles. J'ai de la vase entre les orteils, de la graisse noire sur les ongles. Puis entre mes dents, toutes des petites roches, mais pas d'argent dans mes poches. Les cantons, les gobos, y'en a ben trop. Les galoches au vélo, y'en a toujours ben trop. Les cantons, les gobos, y'en a ben trop. Les galoches au vélo, y'en a toujours ben trop. Thank you.
Moi je suis en chemin pour me promener dans la vallée Saint-Jean, la belle vallée où j'ai grandi. Ma femme et ma tante, c'est un grand événement quand je viens chez nous dans mon petit coin pays. La fête est dans la maison quand je suis arrivé. Mes frères sont venus passer la veillée. On va chanter, danser, on va faire des petites folies. Une game de cartes, moi et maman, avant de se coucher. C'est comme ça se passe chez nous, dans la vallée Saint-Jean. C'est comme ça se passe, dans la vallée Saint-Jean. C'est comme ça se passe, c'est comme ça se passe. C'est comme ça se passe dans mon petit coin de pays. La fête est dans la maison quand je suis arrivé. Un feu dans le foyer, on va jaser. On parlera de la vie, on va peut-être même broyer. Mais par ici, on sait s'encourager. Mais mère disait les petits gars, il faut s'accorder. La vie est trop courte pour chicaner. Maman nous disait, faut jamais mentir. Papa nous montrait apprécier les petites choses de la vie. C'est comme ça se passe chez nous, dans la vallée Saint-Jean. C'est comme ça se passe, dans la vallée Saint-Jean. C'est comme ça se passe, c'est comme ça se passe. C'est comme ça se passe dans mon petit coin de pays. Dimanche matin, la messe à 8h15. c'est bien fait, c'est dans la vallée. Les valeurs de la vie qu'on a pris ici. Je n'oublierai jamais l'amour de ma famille. Ça sera dans mon cœur toute ma vie. C'est comme ça, ça se passe chez nous, dans la vallée Saint-Jean. C'est comme ça, ça se passe, dans la vallée Saint-Jean. C'est comme ça, ça se passe, c'est comme ça, ça se passe. C'est comme ça se passe dans mon petit coin de pays. C'est comme ça se passe dans mon petit coin de pays.
Oh, la belle vallée Saint-Jean, c'est beau ça.
Ouais, c'est beau ça.
Je voyais le bord du jour annonce le retour. La vue de notre belle sur les beaux grands sapins qui nourrissent notre belle vallée Saint-Jean. Nos cœurs restent toujours ici. Nos âmes restent toujours ici. L'amour de notre belle vallée Saint-Jean est avec nous dès la naissance. Vouez la lune qui danse sur l'eau d'un grand lac calme et beau. Il nourrit notre belle vallée Saint-Jean. Vouez des milliers d'étoiles brillantes qu'allume le firmament, qu'abrille notre belle vallée Saint-Jean. Nos cœurs restent toujours ici. Nos âmes restent toujours ici. L'amour de notre belle vallée Saint-Jean est avec nous dès la naissance. Je vois la mort du jour annonce le retour. La vue de notre belle vallée Saint-Jean. Notre belle vallée Saint-Jean. Notre belle vallée Saint-Jean.
Is that G? Sounds like a G. Have a good time when you're playing. That was about a logger that really cuts wood fast.
Mon père me contait ça, là, qu'il avait une grande couverte, on était comme 20 ans, couchait là-dessous. Ça puait, ça pétait des poux.
Ah, the good old days.
Yes, sir, the good old days. Crée-moi pas. En quelque part en Alaska, il y a un phoque qui s'ennuie en maudit. Ta blonde est partie, gagner sa vie dans un cirque aux États-Unis. Le phoque est tout seul. Il regarde le soleil qui descend doucement sur le glacier. Il pense aux États en pleurant tout bas. C'est comme ça quand ta blonde t'a lâché. Ça vaut pas la peine de laisser ceux qu'on aime pour aller faire tomber des ballons sur son nez. Ça fait rire les enfants, ça dure jamais longtemps, ça fait plus rire personne quand les enfants sont grands. S'ennuie. Il regarde son poêle qui brille comme les rues de New York après la pluie. Il rêve à Chicago, à Marilyn Monroe. Il aimerait bien voir sa blonde faire un show. C'est rien qu'une histoire. Je veux pas faire de la croix, mais il y a des fois on dirait que c'est moi. Les deux mains dans la face, assis sur la glace. Mon amour est parti puis je m'ennuie. Ça vaut pas la peine de laisser ceux qu'on aime pour aller faire tourner des ballons sur son nez. Ça fait rire les enfants, ça dure jamais longtemps, ça fait plus rire personne quand les enfants sont grands. laisser ceux qu'on aime pour aller faire tourner des ballons sur son nez. Ça fait rire les enfants, ça dure jamais longtemps, ça fait plus rire personne quand les enfants sont grands.
Right now.
That's a pretty song.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Bonsoir,